This week's news cycle is dominated by high-impact events: a supply chain breach targeting Salesforce, Wall Street firms slashing crypto ETF fees, an emergency mission to rescue a falling NASA telescope, and a budget for GTA 6 that rivals a small country's GDP. Focusing exclusively on the events themselves obscures the structural shifts making them possible. This is an investigation into technical adaptation, tracing how the specific constraints of code, physics, and math are forcing these industries to rebuild their foundations. Navigating this environment requires looking past the noise to understand the hidden mechanical systems that remain once the headlines fade. The security firm Clue recently confirmed a breach where the Icarus hacker group exfiltrated data that granted them unauthorized access to sensitive customer Salesforce environments. OAuth 2.0 vulnerabilities stem from implementation. Applications request data, generating an authorization token, a credential granting access without passwords. Because they are bearer tokens, servers trust any holder. Attackers intercepting them bypass authentication completely, remaining undetected because the token is valid. Hardening this infrastructure requires a shift to a zero-trust model using RFC 8471 token binding. This cryptographically ties the authorization token to the specific TLS session or device that requested it, rendering stolen credentials useless to outside actors. As systems become more interconnected, relying on bearer credentials without hardware-level verification turns the convenience of the cloud into a massive, exploitable supply chain risk. Morgan Stanley has filed for Ethereum and Solana ETFs with an industry-low 0.14% management fee, significantly undercutting established competitors like Grayscale and BlackRock. Morgan Stanley's strategy centers on institutional staking. Validating on-chain transactions generates compounding yield, creating a total return product standard ETFs cannot match. To mitigate slashing risk penalties, they spread assets across diversified providers like Figment and Galaxy, mathematically reducing single-node failure impacts. Traditional finance is moving towards sophisticated staking structures because static, fee-dependent models are becoming less competitive in a digital asset market that offers built-in yield. NASA is currently managing a critical mission to prevent the Swift Space Telescope from rapidly burning up in the atmosphere, commissioning a private servicer to launch a rescue craft on a condensed 9-hour timeline. At 585 kilometers, atmospheric drag is constantly lowering Swift's orbit. Because the telescope was launched in 2004 with refueling valves or grapple fixtures, there is no built-in way to boost its altitude or stabilize descent. This rescue requires the servicing craft to match Swift's velocity and inclination exactly, using robotic arms to secure a moving object that was never designed to touch. A successful rendezvous would provide the final proof of concept for a commercial logistics industry, extending the lifespan of billions of dollars in existing orbital assets. The Swift mission represents a shift in how we treat space hardware, moving from a model of orbital disposal toward one of permanent, scalable maintenance. The development of GTA 6 illustrates a growing crisis in entertainment economics. With an estimated budget exceeding $700 million, the cost of creating modern, high-fidelity environments is reaching a point of diminishing returns. Sony's recent strategy update highlights a necessary pivot toward AI-assisted development tools to manage ballooning costs while maintaining the scale players expect from flagship titles. Analytical. In this specific workflow, large-scale environmental assets are procedurally generated, and background NPC dialogue is dynamically synthesized. This allows a core team to focus on narrative and game design, while the AI handles the resource-intensive fill content. As the sheer volume of assets required for modern AAA games exceeds the capacity of manual labor, creators are becoming managers of these generative systems rather than manual builders. These shifts in security, finance, orbital logistics, and media production are linked by the same pressure, the structural limits of legacy systems. Bearer tokens, fee-only ETFs, disposable satellites, and manual asset creation can no longer scale to meet modern demand. What we are seeing is the establishment of a new operational baseline, built on cryptographic binding, staking-based yields, robotic servicing, and AI-assisted production. Technological disruption is a predictable response to these mechanical failures. When the old infrastructure can no longer support the weight of the market, the underlying systems are forced to redesign themselves. Understanding these changes requires more than tracking the headlines. It requires a technical fluency in the systems that replace them.